And here's Mr. Hinkle.
Let's see if Wayne, is he still alive? And Ernie, you still alive? And Willie? So my name's Mark Hinkle. The old timers who know me from way back when. For the new folks, for a lifetime member of the Libertarian Party, Ed Crane, currently the head of the Cato Institute, signed my membership card, and he was national director of the Libertarian Party when the headquarters of the Libertarian Party was at 500 Kearney Street up in San Francisco. $100 bought you a lifetime membership back then. And it's probably only cost me $30,000 or $40,000 since then. I've been involved in this organization a long, long time. I've probably served just about every role, I think, except treasurer, I've been newsletter editor, I've been state chair for 6 years. And one of the things that I think I bring to the chair's race is the experience of actually turning around the Libertarian Party and growing the Libertarian Party. When I was chair of the Libertarian Party of California from 97 to 2001, we more than tripled our membership to over 6,000 dues-paying members. We quadrupled our income. Our monthly pledge base was quadrupled. I didn't do all by myself. I had a considerably large team of people who worked with me. We all worked together as a team to make that happen. And I would like to see that happen at the national level. We are internally split at a time when the national scene is and should be begging for the libertarian solution. And I want to start focusing outward rather than focusing inward. We need to stop this infighting and start taking back America and make it the free nation it needs to be. That's probably more than a minute.
Question from the audience. When is a declaration of war required for an open-ended military operation on the other side of the planet? And when is it not constitutionally required, and why? And when is it not constitutionally required, and why?
Okay, well, I'm delighted to say that as chair of the party, this is probably not going to be an issue I really have to make a decision on, but I think it's pretty clear in the Constitution that Congress has to declare war. That's pretty cut and dry in my book. I'm not sure why we would need to go to the four corners of the world in order to declare war on some country. Frankly, we need to have a Department of Defense. I think, unfortunately, we have a Department of Offense. So, I'm not sure if that really answers the question. I'm not sure I totally understand the question, but that's my response.
So you currently serve on the LNC. You've served on it for many years. Not a cut to anybody on the LNC, but what would you do differently to manage some of the infighting? Some of the infighting that goes on.
As a matter of fact, we were just having a very nice discussion regarding that. Part of the problem, I think, that the National Party, the LNC, has had is if you don't give people who serve on the LNC specific tasks to accomplish, they typically fall back into an auditor role. They want to judge what everybody else is doing, whether it's being done right or wrong. And of course, if you have 18 people looking around and saying, oh, he or she isn't doing things right, well, guess what? You have a tendency for nobody to do anything. We need to actually have every person who belongs to the LNC needs to champion a particular project or a particular task so that they are focused on getting something accomplished rather than judging what somebody else is accomplishing, whether it's presidential candidate, whether it's the national office, they need to focus on getting projects accomplished. And if they are the champion, obviously it behooves them, if they want to get reelected, to come back to the national convention or to state parties from which they represent and say, here's what I've accomplished as your representative to the LNC, please reelect me.
I'll ask you a question that I'd asked the others. You're obviously on the LNC, so you review the budget and you know everything about it, hopefully. What is the one thing you would take out of that? What budget item would you take out, and what would you put in? You have a choice.
There was lots I put in. In fact, I am actually the one responsible for putting money on the ballot status item. The initial budget that was submitted, by the way, I also serve as the operations committee, 7 people on the national committee who are the equivalent to your operations committee on the LNC. So I insisted that we put in there something for legislation and something in there for ballot access. As far as taking stuff out, we spend a fair amount of money on infrastructure. I know some people are concerned that we're spending about $10,000 a month on the Watergate office. Unfortunately, we're locked in to at least 2012, so there's not anything that the current LNC or even the next LNC is going to be able to do anything about that. In years past, we floated the idea of creating a building fund so that we could actually buy a building. I think there are some cost-cutting measures that Stuart Flood is looking into where we could substantially reduce our internet access costs, our telephone costs. So some technology can save us some money in that regard. I believe the Libertarian Party headquarters is right across from Georgetown University, I believe, and we do get a substantial number of volunteers who come over and help man the phones, do clerical work in the office. So there are some benefits to being where we currently are at, but we might also get some of the benefits if we located maybe near George Mason University and substantially reduced rate of rent. So the budget is pretty darn tight. It really is a skeleton budget right now. So I don't know that there'd be much that I would want to eliminate from the budget, but I called for a resumption of the Success 98, Success 99 projects where people from the Libertarian Party would go around to various county and state organizations, teach them fundraising, teach them campaign skills, teach them how to create a newsletter, do all the outreach sort of stuff that we do. Jim Lark, who's on the LNC, has financially championed outreach to college campuses. He funds that by himself. Frankly, I think that ought to be a line item budget in the LNC budget. I believe he spends somewhere between $20,000 and $25,000 a year of his own money to fund that. Outreach to young kids who have minds open to the Libertarian Party, and that's where our future leaders are going to come from. So I would like to see that in the budget. That's probably enough.